Within the courtyard itself, I just want to show you a couple of these studies. The existing photograph that I mentioned earlier with the lack of signage out on the edge of the building, we think can be solved relatively simply with a sign of some variety here that would work for the retailer that is on the edge of the existing soffit or eave that's there. And we want to maintain those existing materials, perhaps refinishing them, preserving them, but we think we can add to them perhaps with some very simple light fixtures in some places and new signage and make a big difference to this space. You know, the landscaping is really what you feel more than anything when you're in that space. And that is the conclusion of our formal presentation. I'm going to ask Jeff if there are any other relevant points that I may have missed, or the rest of the team, and then we'd like to open it up for questions and answers.
Why don't we? I think we hit all the key points. I think it's as important now to. I know it's a short time. I think we held pretty close to our schedule tonight to try to get everybody to see what we're proposing. Once again, I've got to just tell everybody, we are excited about this concept. I'm not sure if all these people leaving is good or not. With that said, we are excited. We think we've come up with a plan that's viable. As Bryce said a minute or an hour ago, you know, this is something that is a viable concept. It clearly, we heard the community loud and clear. We were not trying to overreach on a concept. We wanted to be realistic. We wanted to make sure we could lease it. We could find viable tenants. We are also, throughout this process, and we didn't say this early on, because somebody will ask this question, our desire is to retain as many of the tenants that are here that want to stay with us here. It's very hard for us to have any real dialogue with any of them until I have a viable plan that I could actually discuss what it's going to be. So if people want to know, we've had preliminary discussions with several of the players that have certainly shown interest to be part of it. Many we have not had in-depth conversations about, because until we have a plan and until we knew what the layout is, it's very difficult to have those dialogues. So we've got lots of work over the next year to work this through. We believe this is something that separates itself from downtown. We wanted this to be something different than downtown. This is much more community feeling. This is something that Wilde Lake can take pride that this is their village center. And as downtown gets developed over the next 20 years, there's still a smaller, quieter center people can go to. The problem is we don't want it to be too quiet. We need traffic here to keep the retailers viable and get traffic in here. And one of it is also adding the residential component that we think, you know, the 200 plus units is something that we had lots of discussions about. And a lot of people were very concerned about how many units there were going to be. And we really tried to think long and hard what was a good balance for this size property. And we think we have something here, and we also believe this is something that could be a very viable center for the next 30 years. What happens in 30 years? Concepts change. You saw what happened now. You know, 175, nobody would have ever thought there were big box users, and whoever would have known what a Costco or a Target was, you know, 30, 40 years ago, or a Wegmans. All those things are our challenge. Our challenge is 1 million square foot of additional retail downtown. So how do we separate ourselves? How do we get this up as quickly as possible? And how do we make sure we keep this as a clear, different element than what downtown Columbia is? So I think we've tried to. With that said, I'm not going to keep saying that we did it everything exactly perfect. What I'd like to do is turn the lights up a bit. If you would like us to keep the screen on with the site plan. So as we're going through asking questions, if that would be useful, I'll do that. Oh, and the other thing I want to make clear here, because it was asked of me prior to this meeting, we have no handouts this evening to give out with the drawings that are here. What I have done is I've spoken with the village board, and tomorrow they will get an email able to post several of these drawings on their website for people to review and see and comment, certainly for their listening sessions, which Greg or myself will try to get to some of them so we can clearly hear some of those thoughts, and also ongoing dialogue within the community.